Hello, everyone. I'm Kanika, the CEO of Mindcock, a strategy, consulting, and market intelligence firm. Welcome to another episode of the Insights Lounge, where we speak to industry leaders and change makers. Today, we are delighted to welcome Mr. Sharad Tandon, a transformative leader in the Indian textile space with over 38 years of experience. As a founder of Standon Consulting, he has guided countless textile businesses in scaling, modernizing, and building strong market identities. Mr. Tandon mentors several influential platforms, including Slow Textiles, STRCH, and the Yarn Bazaar, helping entrepreneurs navigate growth and innovation. He has also played a vital role in the technical textile development through his advisory work with the SIDBI Bank and the Indo American Chamber of Commerce. Today, we would like to talk to him about how Indian textile businesses can innovate sustainably for the next decade. Welcome, Mr. Sharad. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Kanika. Doing very well and very eager to be part. And of course, the cliche words, honors, etc., etc. But excited. Yeah. So
Looking forward to speaking with you. Minecraft does a lot of work in the field of textiles, and for us also, it was an honor to have somebody like you with your kind of experience in this space who's actually also consulting businesses in textile industry, transforming from where they are to what they need to do today. It's wonderful to have you here with us today. So. You have over 38 years of experience in the textile industry, mentoring MSMEs and advising on innovative platforms, shaping clusters like SIDBI's technical textile intervention. Would you like to tell us what originally drew you into the textile sector and how has your perspective evolved over the decades?
well, what drew me? Dreams and the bravado of youth. These simplistic assumptions that I am smarter than the people I work for. So my dad was a head of a huge textile unit. Those time were the times when you had the big textile units like Mafatlal, Irwin, Bombay Dyeing, and all this. We thought, why not here? Look, that Gujarati guy doesn't have understand half our reports. We are so good. We are better. We run the machines better. तो वो कमाता है उससे तो ज्यादा ही कमा लेंगे. So we put in a few machines, laying actually what would we say, seeds of my today's success, which I feel is validated if people like to reach out. But the midlife failures. I am a failed entrepreneur and now back again as a successful businessman. The simplest and the most powerful weapon in my armor I got from my experiences. It all has to start from show me the money. So that was how we got into that. At that perspective, from a high of owning, being an industrialist, being felicitated by people in this thing. Then down in the dumps commercially because we didn't have business and didn't get financial discipline. Taught a lot of things over the decades. I don't think I've changed much personally in my nature or my this thing. I There were hard knocks at that time. There were mistrust taken advantage of, but I still trust people. Of course, now with some checks and balances. Over decades, yes, because I do have the benefits of decades now, unlike the Gen Z today. So, like other oldies get irritated easily, but less tolerant of stupidity. Although now the changes are happening much faster, it's not even decades now. Today, every year, 3 years is a shift overall economically. If I see the changes happening around, and since personally I do get excited with all these things, so yeah, I think it's now a 2 to 3 year paradigm of changes and shifts, and I don't know if that answers your question.
No, that was very insightful, and so it's a only a brave person can actually come and admit that I failed at something, and that actually made me successful today. Like they all say that failure is a much bigger and better teacher than success ever is. So I'm sure that whatever lessons you've learned through your hardships have actually made you more successful and more effective today in your business and your consulting.
Yeah, we try, but that's another, I think, a topic for entire seminar.
So, the Indian textile heritage is centuries old. In your experience of working across MSME clusters and family run units, what traditional strengths still hold massive value today?
Since this is only about the strengths and not the weaknesses, I'll answer it just in that context, although the other side is much bigger piece for me. But I think what is the strength and what remains solid and what makes is the basics of business and cash flow management. Either Gujaratis were the textile industry essentially has seen three cultural phases, if you want to divide it. frame was the Parsis and the Gujaratis coming into it. That is why you had Bombay, you had Ahmedabad. Then there was a phase because Gujaratis be conservative in their own traditional style, dynamism, or they could not keep pace sort of with what was happening and the aggressiveness and changes required. So briefly, the Punjabis came in, especially in the synthetic industry. So you had Orke and Supash and other. But finally, it's more or less today saturated by Marwadis. So if you leave the Punjabi sector out, who live life larger than their means, Gujaratis were always very conservative on the cash flow. They would do only what money they had. Marwadis are not conservatives and cash flow in that sense, that they will only work in the money they had. They are awesomely good at cash flow management. So, in my experience, I have not seen any business fail or succeed, including mine, for lack of profit or loss. It's always the cash flow which causes to this thing. And Marwadis traditionally have been on that, the pulse is there. And having that legacy, check, balance, or that expertise available to a young gen who's too involved in the day to day business. I think it's a huge blessing, and in fact, quite a family of a lot of family that I still see are able to survive are because of their expertise in that. So I would think that would be the basic single USP.
To summarize, what you're saying is that because traditionally people who have been the communities which was doing very well in textile are the ones who have very good hold on cash flow management.
Yeah,
They've been able to survive a
management.
lot of hardships and yeah, cash management,
Exact. Yes.
and that continues to remain their strength. I completely agree. I totally agree.
Yeah.
And frankly, even in my own business, that's a lesson that I've had to learn personally when going through.
I know. I today is the 3rd of December, so we know self business, funds business, how it goes cash flows.
Yeah. Coming to the second part of this, what do you
Yeah.
think is the biggest disconnect between traditional textile practices and modern expectations?
Okay. My entire consulting is built like that. So, if I sum it up in one line, I get paid for me to translate to the dad what the son is saying and what to translate to the son what the dad is trying to say.
Hmm.
Yeah. The basic disconnect, I'll go back a little, sort of take a overview before getting into the textile practice. The disconnect starts with the owners itself. The new gen educated is a highly confused lot because virtue of the profit and this thing made by the owners who were not tremendously educated and especially not technically educated or didn't have MBAs. Their desire, or like any father's this thing reflection in their son, they wanted their have the best education, the technical education, the MBAs. So most of them went abroad. Here I am talking of the successful people. Or the minimum thing I have done seen is they have done the SP Gen family business, which again is a awesome course. But what has happened is then once you go there, the younger lot gets divided into, and by the age I am 55, I'll be somewhere. So there is a disconnect between the thought process with which the elder sent him across, that knowledge will be used to expand this business, not think disruption. Disruption is also okay. Unfortunately, most of today's generation who are in the MSME textile industry are not able to distinguish between disruption and destruction. So what they think they are bringing disruption, the day starts to see as destruction, and that is where the detachment starts. And then the bigger issue to that is and how it gets aggravated because both the generation continue to be active in the same business. Elder generations now I'll move to the textile practices and modern market expectations. Traditional or the people elderly who set up these industries and highly successful going they came from a village left in small kholies and then have risen to 200, 500, 600 crores. They were at a time when there was a scarcity mindset. Buyers were highly obliged on the seller if they could get a share of whatever was being produced. Now, today's buyer, including you, me, and there is an abundance mindset. We are now so relaxed, not bothered ki even if we are going abroad, it's just half an hour, 1 hour before packing that we start to put things together and then we realize nahi hai, and then we do blink it and get it because तो तब तक हम सोचते ही नहीं है. Now, this alignment is not happening on the ground. Principally, they agree because when we have board meetings, we plan strategies. Principally, it is agreed we need to change. But in day to day, this thing, it goes to legacy habits. The elders are not able to make that mindset change. And even if they take the mindset change, they are not able to actually on a day to day transaction do it. So, and that is another issue which is very typical and peculiar to the Indian family setup is our children are not rebels. They will never challenge elders particularly for this business thing. And at the same time, now the elders have gone into a safety and consolidation mode. So where the first is the disconnect in the mental makeup, where they have also agreed when it comes to actual execution, taking that step. Because of that last this thing, it falters. So the default is safety, and they are not able to either understand. And since you are not going to do it anyway, you don't go to deep dive into the modern market expectations. You don't do data analysis. You don't do understandings of why the customer wants so far. And because you don't do data analysis, there is no data. So it's again, I am deeply concerned about it. The fallback in the digital space or connections with the customers directly for a feedback is massively absent in the textile industry. Today, if you buy even a toothbrush from a store, even local, they have some setup, you will get a satisfaction call. You go to a restaurant, you will get a satisfaction call or a feedback rating or rate us or do something. All these tools are available for the textile industry, but I don't think even 0.1% of them are.
Agree with you. Even in our own practice, when we reach out to textile companies, especially mid-sized companies, we face similar challenges. Most of them, when we end up speaking to the current, face of the company, which is already the next generation, they understand what we are saying, but they're still somewhat reluctant to take up a full-fledged consulting project because probably traditionally they've not done this. They don't know there are people like us who exist who can actually step in, help them see in a little better way, look at data patterns, help them take better decisions. So even if they're understanding it on a conceptual basis, they still find it hard to see the value in what we are doing.
I'll share something. I just share couple of case examples. Okay, one is a family which is set up by three brothers, existing, remaining in business. Their four sons, of one from each and two from one, have joined their business. One of the sons reached out to me, "Ki, I want to do something very modern. Traditional thing is not for me. What can I do?" And I have come out, and the technical textile is a big buzzword today. So I want a technical textile project to be done, and one gentleman is here and their turnover must be say around 600 crores. So money is not a problem. That he is giving me an advice of doing a project of 50 cr. I went through the project. Boy is good, capable, everything. The project is viable. We should have been doing it. But in the very second meeting, I told him this you will not be able to get approved from your family. Now he was like, why? Mane, it's not the merits of the case at all. You have to see from their decision making point of view. If they give you 50 cr for your installation, all fours are theoretically entitled to 50 cr each. He has got 50 cr or 70 cr today, he does not have 200 cr. So sometimes as you said, the internal decision making is skewed, which never comes on the table. But since I am involved in their mindset or understanding, so I know ki when they are saying a yes on the face, they really do want it, but there are other compulsions running behind them which leads this to happen. Yeah.
I've actually seen this also happen myself, and that's something we
Yeah,
struggle with when we talk to mid-sized textile businesses in India.
absolutely.
And like you
Hmm.
said, it's not like they're short on money; they have enough money. But even if we are able to justify and prove the outcomes that they will get, but it's still that sometimes they feel like, oh, it's not tangible, like for them in that moment to make that spend. So yeah,
It's actually, let's be still very clear. This industry is still on for final decision making. Emotions are 80% and 20% is market.
correct. Correct. So, moving on to the next question. When we
Yeah.
talk about modernizing the Indian textile businesses, what do you think it genuinely involves? We've already touched upon the mindset. and the decision making part. But what other things can you think of that this is what it genuinely involves if you really want to modernize your Indian textile business?
So I'll share what I see, what people think it is, and what my view is what it should be. Uh, as you also agree, there is a dichotomy or there is a detachment between us and what they think. So to 90% of them, it means installing an ERP or using AI now. Last 2 years, say. Worse, and this I am very, very sad about, is to 110% of them, it means installing CCTV cameras to monitor who's talking to whom, and then further getting software AI tools to analyze and do all kind of I'm sorry, BS things. Why is it worst? Because okay, if you do that, then you should have the guts to take action on it. None of the most of them, 90% don't have the guts to fire their existing staff, which comes because they are not able to hire anyone from in. But that of course holds true. One side there is a lot of underemployment. I am not sure about unemployment. At the same time, there are people who are constantly saying कि भाई हमको तो आदमी. So it's there this thing. They don't have the guts, so you can't take action. So why do it? According to me, what it should involve, it should simply involve genuine business evolution. What is there? How you can now capitalize on it? Take it, expand. Where are the revenue pockets? Where in the entire chain? Where is the profit center lying? Because that keeps shifting. I'll give you an example. Uh, Recently, a very well-known textile brand was up for sale. I was asked to evaluate that on basis of my client. So we went the traditional way, मतलब machines का इतना land इतना ये इतना ठीक है, and some existing है brand है. So let's say we came up with a figure of 60 crore. The person who bought it for 95 crores, and we were all just sitting by the bylines and waiting for it to fail. And today he's dominating that business and probably doubling his profit in this thing. Why? Because he saw that the manufacturing would have a loss, but that particular kind of product was in short supply. And this was one of the mills, few mills who could do that. So he bought it and he shifted his profit base to his marketing. Now, understanding that and that episode really changed our mindset also of looking at where this thing. So, what is happening? This the people who are entrenched are not understanding, and the young who are coming in are too immature to understand it or be able to convince their elders. So, that is what business evolution should be, getting out of the mindset that I'll supply a better product to what is their problem that I can solve. What is their pain point? The pain points have shifted. Customers' needs, requirements have shifted. You can't keep solving it just by a better product. Yes, for that technical modernization, putting in automations, getting better so that you cut down on delivery times or you get better qualities should be upgraded. So the simply thing is upgrading to a Mac will not make a better CEO if you can't run VLOOKUP, matlab you need that skill set to be
Yes,
finally able to. I cover one of the case studies I think in one of the future questions. So for further questions maybe.
you're very right. It's not just about, I mean, buying the CCTV cameras or just buying a better computer. There's so much more required. So
Absolutely.
I think collective, in summary, we've already talked about mindset. We talked about technology, which is very relevant, but it is also about
Hmm.
having the right skill set and the
Hmm.
willful intention to leverage it the right way so that you actually are making a
So
difference.
for me the person who is very good at boring tasks is likely to be the most successful because no
I
one else
cannot
wants to
agree
do
more.
that.
Yes, yes. So switching gears here a little bit, let's talk about
Hmm.
sustainability.
Yeah,
Sustainability is often seen as a cost.
right.
In your experience, how can sustainability be seen as a growth driver instead of a burden?
Yeah, this has been again, and this is one of the reasons Reena Mittalji got me into Slow Textiles because she has seen me sort of look at the business end of the things, and she was equally frustrated with the sense of entitlement from the people who are doing sustainable work. They sort of come, कि, okay, I am going to now help save the world. and therefore you buy something three times costlier to what you were buying. Give me the money and I go save the world. So in one of the seminars, my this thing was simple. Ki if he wants to save the world, he will save it himself. Now why should he pay you? So once you get out of that mindset, get out of that that ego or that pedestal placement कि मैं कर रहा हूँ बाकी तो कोई कर नहीं रहा है so they should be obliged, they should buy my stuff and pay me higher for eventually a poorer performing product. It's not like that. You de-learn that. Find out. They treat it as a business where the money lies, and money is there. What business it can help me build? Cost, Kanika ji, cost is never a fact. You and I know enough about it. If we find value in it, we will pay, but consumer is no longer willing to pay just because he's told to do so. The explanation of the value lies with you. The entire thing about sustainability, one of the few things they would ask me technically is ki fading color fades, and that is a problem. So first of all, how is it a problem? The trouser industry is dominated 40-50% by denim, and I think you have done a denim podcast as well. It's built on fading. If it does not fade, it's a problem. So the fun is get out of the entitlement mindset. Look at where the business, as I like now, the money can lie anywhere in that business chain. If you make it a business, sustainable people are. I think there's one brand called Suta, Sutta, if I'm not mistaken. Two girls who are apparently making a lot of money from sustainable products.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not an added cost, it's an added value. You need marketing to explain that added value to the person who's going to buy it. And it becomes a huge growth divider because no one wants not to save the world.
So we see a lot of, I see a lot of this happening with some new age brands. Like you gave example
Hmm.
of Suta. There's another brand called Virgio and many
Hmm.
similar brands who are right now actually using it as a marketing tool.
Yeah.
And of course, they're selling it to the young generation who's so,
Hmm.
the so-called very conscious generation. And they
Hmm.
want to take these
Hmm.
steps towards like, I would like to buy this if it says that 25% of the fabric used comes from recycled
Yeah. Yeah.
material, etc. So that part we get it. But what
Hmm.
about the textile businesses which exist not over the, as in, upwards of the chain? So from the yarn, fabric, that part of the chain, how do they not see sustainability as a, or sustainable practices as a cost, but somehow as a growth driver?
It's not that they don't see, but everything said and done, sustainability, when you have rightly mentioned, textile is a century old business. Okay.
Hmm.
Sustainability is a decade old thing. So for it to have significant commercial share where B2B manufacturing starts to make more and more sense or becomes default, it's going to take time. It's creeping up. It's going to take time. So the challenge for manufacturing is you want to install things at scale. On the sustainable purchase side, since you're talking of the yarn and this thing, and we are looking at a B2B supply. On the sales side, that volumes are not existing as are the case for non-sustainable. So that shift will happen. Now capacities are coming up. One of my close known friends also now they are into recycled polyester. They are doubling their capacities, putting more and more this thing. And interestingly, since you raised the topic, it's you go out today for a drive or you go out today for a walk, you won't find a single discarded plastic bottle on the street. 98% of India's plastic bottles today are getting recycled. So it's not that that is not happening, but that's not the glamour part of it. So that's not showing up.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that push and pull will happen. As I said, we are comparing everything said and done, my age to your age.
Yes. Yes. You're right. There's a lot of things that are already happening on this front. Absolutely right. So switching gears here again, I wanted to bring up the weaving tradition, the indigenous fibers, which India
Hmm.
has a unique, weaving traditions, indigenous fibers, and skilled
Hmm.
clusters. Like there's a tradition around this. How can businesses modernize while still preserving the cultural?
In fact, since you advise people and do that, this question was asked to me in a Slow Textiles seminar. A lady, national award winner, and she's located somewhere in near one of the Jyotirling, and she was telling how difficult it is to, but how good the product is, and in that she mentioned कि a group of rich ladies came to that Jyotirling And then we took them and made a sort of small picnic, and they were very happy. They took 60 saris, 70 saris. My take is, why not just take that, start an app, a tourism business, which looks after the religious cultural circuit of India. As I am reading, and I have both the fortunate and you can say the downside of handling Gen Zs. Even in that, this thing, bhajan evenings are happening. There is a huge opportunity of someone not getting technically involved in the product sale or purchase, but make money out of this textile business and help the weavers make money. So let's say if you do a religious cultural tour to Tirupati, you combine visit to Kanchipuram to that. You take them to the Kanchivaram end to end. For foreigners, especially, you'll pick from the airport, you will arrange the hotels, you will do this. That is what they need, exposure. They don't really need the huge volumes, because the problem is they are not able to reach out. People like Suta, etc., who are able to do it in a small way. But if you look in the overall context, it's very small. In fact, if someone wants, next time someone wants young gen में आपका कोई है, तो you tell them religious come cultural, textile cultural heritage tours. Yeah, just that. Yeah.
Can you share like a real life example where a traditional businesses are successfully modernized in a sustainable way? What did they do right?
Too many, in fact. You're already in the case, of course, on the marketing and e-commerce side, very visible, very this thing. But I have interaction with them personally. So they all came from the traditional. Most of them came from the traditional textile. So Dennis Lingo, for example, is one case. That's a brand. His father was a small time trader in Bhiwandi. He thought of this. He moved off, and of course, then Mensa came in, and whatever later happened is a different thing. But for him, it's a success story. I personally have held quite a few MSMEs who have sort of. So I'll give you one example of a tier 4 town boy. We'll not take the urban or this thing. A tier 4 boy, his father was into traditional dhoti ka trading business, Marwadi. Between the time I joined them and now, we have moved to an IPO that is listed on NSE. Gone from zero souls to 400 crore top line. Today we are targeting 1000 crores. He has units that are certified by Zara, everything. You name the certification he has got. He wins the export awards constantly for the last 4 years. From 20 employees, we have gone to 3000 employees. All the this is this thing. So what they did right? Focus. Hard work is of course taken for granted, but focus. Listen to people. See what is right, and continuous investment in training yourself. From the day I joined, I was one of his mentors. Today, he has six coaches for different fields: one for health, one for lifestyle, one for leadership, one for finance, one for this thing. So, that is very important. Most people have that either a ego block or whatever. They don't want to do that. They don't want to learn themselves. They don't want to change themselves. That's the only difference. The people who chose to learn and use that knowledge. As I said, hard work and the boring part. That's the deadliest combination.
You're very right. I think the very acceptance that I can do this better and I must learn or take help or mentorship from somebody is core to improving in any area. So, I want to touch upon the technical textile part, and there's a
Hmm.
huge opportunity there. We've not touched upon this so far. Can
Hmm.
you maybe talk a little bit about how a traditional textile business can diversify into high value sustainable segments? Any ideas that you want to share on this?
It's very simple. One of the biggest myths about technical textile is that it requires huge investment to get in. People have come to me, and as I said, that Amritsar cluster we have done interactions and this thing. So people ask me, what is the budget I need to start? You can start it from 5,000. You can the risk reward ratio is definitely better, but of course then it's also higher. On the macro level, there is lot of scope in technical textiles, and since the entire study on Amritsar was to transit technical traditional textile businesses into technical textiles, I have my sorry sort of unpopular opinion. That is actually a handicap, as I always feel. Of course, I didn't correct you when you mentioned about my experience, but experience is always a handicap in today's world. So traditional textiles people find it very difficult because they're all product focused. I don't know what is your experience. You rarely will find people coming to you ki set me up a business. They will say, I want tell me what product to get in. What should I make? What should I do? Technical textile does not work that way. Technical textiles, the first thing is, as I had mentioned earlier, which now is getting true even to a certain extent traditional textile. What is the problem you are going to solve? Is it, so let us say, is it water leakage? Now, water leakage can be solved by many products. So by you can do it by, since you're familiar with textiles, it can be by the knitted way, it can be by the non-woven way, it can be by the woven way. So that key into marketing, understanding that the gestation period is going to be 1.5 to 3 years. So we ask two questions essentially. One, what is your cash flow position? Because here, unlike traditional business, you don't easily get, because the gestation period is high. It has to be treated like an infrastructure product. But since the moment the word textile comes in, the banks treat it as a normal textile project, where they would give you 5 6 months sort of deferral of payment. These are like infrastructure because you need certifications, you need marketing, you need deep dive. So fund flow, managing that is an issue. You should be able to self fund it. Secondly, your final loss bearing capacity, because since it is technical, it does have a chance of obsolescence. Now, like how AI is creating obsolescence in many sectors. So it's nothing about you being very good about something or you being a very good coder. Along comes a product which simply replaces the entire industry. So you could have a wipeout issue on this. If you understand that any of these this thing that we have mentioned, the 12 segments that are there, any and every one of them are profitable. The same fundamental. So again, just to give a case study, there is boy, his father bought him. He has sent his son to Germany, again a four-tier town. Very smart boy, very this thing. So he also felt I don't want him in the normal, run of the mill stuff. So he came to me, bola ki, what does he need to succeed in technical textiles? That is what you need to make it into technical textiles. It's tough to penetrate into it. Otherwise, any of the industries you pick up are absolutely doable. Chances of failure are very less. But also, it is a myth that every technical textile product is highly profitable. Just giving you a case example, we were doing evaluation of automobile composites for a company. So when we met the experts, his current PAT in textiles is say 5 to 7%. And the drive was ki, okay, that would mean 15 20%. So, but we deep dive, it turned out at least for that particular product, the PAT was only 2%. The only thing, being a OEM supplier, they had huge volumes. So they can diversify, but it's a difficult thing mentally for them. That's what I have seen.
So I think at some level, grit is still very important. And like you said, the loss taking appetite has
Yes.
to be large because it's going to take
Yes.
some time. The gestation period, like you said, is longer.
That's also again not necessary. So I evaluated what was the loss bearing capacity of this gentleman and his family, and we did a project of only 1.5 CR. You can do technical textiles of any size. That's not the problem.
So switching gears here again. So,
Yeah.
as global buyers play a lot of emphasis on traceability, eco
Hmm.
certification, low
Hmm.
impact production, etc., how do you
Hmm.
think
Hmm.
Indian textile businesses can equip themselves to meet these evolving expectations?
Simple certifications. And certifications automatically means compliances automatically mean you will upgrade your this thing. The only difference is if you proactively do it, so you are ready and you have invested something which is not giving you an immediate return. But along comes a person who's looking for that and you have a done deal. Indian mindset क्या है कि कौन मेरा खरीदेगा वो बोले और if he says then I will invest in this infrastructure then I will do in this thing. So that case example that I said, so about uh, 10 12 years back when GOTS and everything was not in fashion, we were attending a seminar and one of the topics mentioned was GOTS. It was just an introduction at that time. So he sort of looked at and we exchanged notes ki will, what's the thing, what is this, क्या है, how does it make business sense? So ठीक है, मालूम तो करते, let's find out what's the cost. That time the cost was 40,000. We said the hell with it, just let's get it for the heck of it. There are no inquiries for this, there are no this thing, and we just got it about 3 months, and it was there on our email signature, etc., whatever the marketing these things were going on. We got an inquiry of 5,000 meters from one of the largest garment groups from India, who got certified products urgently. So the negotiation discussion started. Finally, that order didn't go through. But because that dialogue happened today, we do about 5 crore monthly business with them. So, what the biggest advantage here on this point is, you don't need to learn any skill set. You just need to identify these are the certifications required currently and will be required 2 years hence. Just invest in them. It's much better investing a couple of lakh in that, because what we have seen, certifications actually, honestly, ethically implemented, definitely improve your working by a few percentile points inside your organization. So there is that spillover cost benefit as well. But if you want to be there, so you should be attending the seminars, attending podcasts like this. What is, when you did on denim on sustainability, what is required? Blue sign is there, X, Y, Z, and invest in that proactively.
Completely agree. In fact, you're giving so many ideas. I'm actually already thinking about doing more podcasts with you. Maybe deep diving on specific topics.
You,
Yeah. So, this
yeah.
has been interesting. And as we come into the close of this podcast, obviously, I'm going to ask you a future forward looking question. So,
Hmm.
if you had to imagine the Indian textile industry in 2035, what would a modernized, sustainably innovating ecosystem?
We are using sustainability in terms of sustainability of business, or sustainability in terms of eco-friendliness?
Let's talk about a balance of both, because like you said, without the business, eco-friendliness will not make any difference. So business, like the
Hmm.
first point you said, right, managing your cash flow, being sustainable business wise is core for the very existence.
Hmm. I think we are definitely very optimistic about it. I personally throw an open challenge to anyone who says textile is a dying business, particularly the youngsters. There's no money to be made. It's not glamorous. And so far on that argument, I have never lost a debate. So it is growing. The shifts, and okay, overall market size is not going to grow. You please understand that. Textiles will grow at a slow overall rate of 2%, 3% or something, for reasons other than this thing, because the products last more. The replacement, this thing is less. But within that, there are sectoral shifts that are going to happen, which will impact the Indian textile industry hugely. One which we are already seeing, but many people in this turn either an open eye, is the shift between cotton and natural fibers to synthetics, notwithstanding all the blah blah about hemp and bamboo and this thing. Yes, they will continue to grow in their market share. But overall, the shift will be toward cheaper, better, more this thing, and so-called sustainable, because the person who's recycling polyester is also calling him sustainable. Uh, so that will happen. It will move towards synthetics. Consumption definitely will grow. Fast fashion is already percolating down. It will continue to percolate. Margins will continue to remain squeezed. And anyone who is not on his toes cannot expect today a survival rate of more than 3 years. That's my reading. So those who do that, change with the time, as you said, align themselves with market expectations. Do not get into a ego image or a ego this thing. Very good future.
Wonderful, and that's a lot of good news. And I'm happy that a veteran is saying this, that this is going to stay. This cannot go away. It might grow at its own pace, but yes, you have to inculcate the right mindset, the right technology, and the willingness to learn and improve the right skill set. Uh,
Perfect.
to really grow in this industry sustainably.
Perfect.
Thank you, Sharadji, for your time. I really had a good time talking about this conversation.
Equal pleasure.
And I really hope that a lot of the MSME players in the industry see it, because we've talked about some real life examples and some challenges, and they should be able to.
Hope so. Hope so as well.
Yeah. So
And
thank
thank
you.
you so much again.
Thank you, everyone, for listening in. I hope that you like this conversation and please like and subscribe. Please feel free to leave your comments in the boxes below and we'll be happy to answer them. I would also leave Sharaji's LinkedIn account in the description and feel free to reach out to him. And looking forward to many more conversations with you, sir.
Same here.